Hello out there in American Game Land. Welcome to our first World Cup special episode. Uh, you're getting plenty of recaps and tactical analysis elsewhere, but we're coming at you with some an American game perspective on what's been happening the last week.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like, there's been a dearth of Men in Blazers posts, right? They're not posting at all. I mean, like they're posting like every 5 seconds. So we're not going to do any of that. We are going to,
We pick our spots, and
yeah,
this is our
yeah, there you
spot
go.
because it was a big
Yep.
week. Look, World Cup started, U.S. beat Paraguay, and the Knicks won their first championship since 1973. And those things happening in the same week got us thinking some big thoughts, some big and American game thoughts that we want to share.
Right. And I've been thinking some big thoughts for a few more weeks, and you'll understand why Kirk isn't including them at the top. But go ahead, my friend.
Look, I've been a Knicks fan my entire life. I was born the year they won their first championship. I grew up watching them on a black and white TV. They were the city team for the city game. I'd grow up playing pickup with my friends where we'd try to be Bernard King or whoever our heroes were, which is to say, I've been a fan way longer than James Dolan has owned the team. And you may know where I'm going with this. It's about the challenge of supporting a team when the owner is an absolute creep.
Before we get to creeps, a little shout out to another New Yorker, Kirk's father, who would have played college basketball with a Nick, Dollar Bill Bradley. So, sports teams, back to the creeps, have sports teams have always been community properties, right? Except, sometimes they're not owned by the community, right? It's a rich guy because usually it's a guy.
Yeah, look, back in the day, sometimes they'd be like the town's wacky rich uncle, right, who owns the team, and that would be okay. Look, I grew up with the Yankees watching George Steinbrenner be the wacky sociopathic rich uncle who would like fire Billy Martin every year and destroy players' careers.
That sold newspapers, right? It was
It sold
newspapers at the
newspapers.
time.
But as the cost of buying into pro sports has grown, you're now more likely to have an awful billionaire owning your team or a petrostate wiping their ass with your local heritage.
This is one of the things that I talk about in, the class, Britain in the global game, right? This British cultural phenomenon, right? It's global. And, if you're a Newcastle fan of late, you've probably seen your team run out in the Saudi national team colors, right? And does that bother you? Or can you get over it because then you can go out and buy top players? So it's a real dilemma, a real conflict of interest for a lot of fans.
Yeah, look, if you're a Manchester United fan, you had the Glazers coming in and doing some of that USA private equity jujitsu on you, sticking 600 million pounds of debt on your beloved community club, and then forcing your club to spend twice that over the next 20 years on interest payments, debt payments, and dividends and fees to the Glazer family, to the point that Manchester United supporters were begging Jim Ratcliffe to bail them out. And that fracking billionaire came in and fired the tea ladies and kicked season ticket holders out of their seats. So supporting your club when they are owned by a billionaire is tricky business. So look, my joy slash disbelief at the Knicks win was tempered a bit by seeing James Dolan holding the trophy. He's a really bad dude. If you've listened to the show, you know how I feel about Woody Johnson. Dolan is maybe worse. Friend of Trump, friend of Harvey Weinstein. Dolan was once accused of sexual assault by a woman who said that Dolan then set her up to be assaulted by Harvey. Dolan has turned Madison Square Garden into his own personal North Korean surveillance state. He is a petty.
Yeah, whoa. What do you mean by that? What?
He's got cameras everywhere, all connected to like Palantir AI facial recognition stuff. If you work for a law firm that is doing business against Madison Square Garden or any Dolan entity, they will face recognize you and stop you at the gate when you're trying to come into the game and tell you you're not allowed to come in. Wired just did a whole breakdown on this. He's a weird, creepy, and vindictive little guy who got everything handed to him by his dad, and now he's got a trophy. But those scenes in New York were amazing. Celebrations everywhere in the West Village, subways, Astoria, Queens, deep in Brooklyn, wherever. The New York Times referred to it as collective effervescence, communal joy, diverse groups of people celebrating. Again, this is New York, one of the MAGA boogeyman sanctuary cities, right? The subway that our Secretary of Transportation, who we paid to go on a freaking road trip vacation with his family for 3 months, the subway he's afraid to ride on is a scene of random New Yorkers coming together and celebrating a team. That was amazing.
That is Kirk's subway take, right? I love the Knickerbockers too. I love the name, paying homage to the Dutch of New Amsterdam, that whole island at the center of the world thing that Kirk believes so firmly in. It's not New Jersey for Kirk. It is New York, Manhattan, and the boroughs. But I live at the crossroads of Western civilization. No, not New Jersey. It's London, England, North London to be fact, where both our clubs are from. I am a supporter of the Arsenal, and Kirk is supporting a club, tiny little club, just up, the Seven Sisters Road at Tottenham Hotspur. I experienced the same thing, the same collective joy a few weeks before the World Cup started, right? The last 2 weeks of the season, City bottles it on a Tuesday. We are at a pub, and then we are just march to the stadium, and everybody's filing in. It's like 11:30 at night. Amazing. Then Sunday, the last match of the season, we host a party of like 40 gooners. And then we march to the stadium. We couldn't even get anywhere near it. And then literally a couple days later, I am in Budapest with my wife, and we're watching the Arsenal nearly win the Champions League. And then back the next day for the parade. 1.5 million people in probably what would be called a sanctuary city, right? There's some of the same issues going on here, but it was just magical, right? It was parties, it was parades, it was collective joy. And the owners, the American owners, the Cronkies, even paid for the cleanup. But wow, what a few weeks.
Okay, fine. On the spectrum of bad billionaires, the Cronkies are on the less problematic side. Although I still think there's a Chinatown remake about the land acquisition for SoFi Stadium. But as the World Cup kicked off and the U.S. beat Paraguay the day before the Knicks championship, some of those ambivalent feelings came up, right? How do you root for something that you know is ethically, morally, even legally compromised? We've spoken a lot about FIFA and Gianni Infantino. Days before the opening game of the World Cup, a respected Somali ref was interrogated for 11 hours at the U.S. border and sent back home. FIFA had the same response as when the star striker for Iraq was pulled away from his team and questioned for 7 hours, or when international fans' visas were being canceled at the last minute. Absolute silence. And we've spoken a lot about Pochettino denigrating U.S. soccer culture and the challenge of chanting USA when it's also being chanted at a UFC event sponsored by Monster Energy and Trump Crypto on the South Lawn of the White House. To the
Fortunately,
point,
I didn't watch any of that. I saw none of that.
I think hopefully no one did.
Yep.
So again, conflicted feelings, but here's the thing. That U.S. game was great.
Tremendous.
Job not done, but lots of good stuff. And they delivered what we'd asked for on this very show. Energy, grit, the sort of positive American traits that we like to celebrate. And then Poach even apologized for crapping on U.S. fan support after the amazing support the team got in L.A.
One little caveat there, right? I mean, Balogun's second goal right before halftime basically just ends the game, 3-0. And I'm looking at the fans in the corner, and they've got their phones up, and they're just standing up. It would have been dog pile time, right?
Look at me. I'm being more positive, and Tom is gatekeeping U.S. fandom. Look how the
No, no.
worm
I
is
mean,
turned.
I want more. I want more.
All right, fair
Come on,
enough.
folks. Maybe it's due to the price of the tickets. I'm going to hang my hat on that
That
one.
is true. But
But
look, the energy in the stadium was great, and World Cup joy is happening around the country.
in the unlikeliest of places, right? Like Lawrence, Kansas, the University of Kansas marching band learns the Algerian national anthem to welcome the Algerian side to their training camp. I mean, it just
People
incredible,
probably
right?
saw
Well,
videos of Mexican and Korean fans drinking and dancing together in the plaza in Monterey.
and doing Gangnam Style. I mean,
And of course,
incredible,
the
right? And
Scots,
then
who we talked about recently, taking over Boston.
right? I mean, they're learning no Scotland, no party, no Scotland, no party.
So here's the thing, the World Cup is still a FIFA joint, and FIFA is still Gianni Infantino. Just like the Knicks are now worth $1 billion more than they were last week, and that money is going to Dolan. But somehow, sports are where our collective joy and passion can transcend the people who own and control it.
Come on. I have to get a quotation in here, right?
Do
I
it.
mean, one of the great, you know, soccer journalists doing the rounds. This is from last year. This is from Rory Smith from The Athletic. Soccer is a sort of cultural Esperanto, a pastime and passion to be shared not just with friends, but strangers in Nigeria, Malaysia, and Japan. It's a shared language, one that can be immediately understood, instantly shared anywhere in the world. That's why people seek it out. They travel around the world to chase that feeling of belief and belonging. It has become, for millions, the principal source of identity, a claim to membership of a community. End quote. I mean, just beautiful writing, beautiful sentiment. And that's how we feel here at An American Game, right? This is an Esperanto. It is a universal language, and it's come to our shores. And these first days, this first week, has got me excited, right? It's here
Look,
in a really.
I am the more probably angry and cynical one of our little duo here. But those images
Angry Bird.
from New York with the Knicks were amazing. I spent a lot of time in the West Village, and a lot of you may have seen the images of two guys in their fire escape with a projector projecting the game onto a building across the street. They were just doing that. And a few like English tourists were watching it in game 4. And some woman walking by saw it happening and posted something about it. And suddenly hundreds of people were there for the second half of that game. And then thousands of people were there for game 5. And it was a massive celebration. It was organic community. And that is something that is hard to be cynical about.
These watch parties across the United States, right? For the United States national team, the hugging, the cheering, not to mention the 47 other teams, right? I mean, that's going on in the various communities, right? That have had, just decades of immigration and community building. That's very much American, but also from other traditions and other rituals, and it's all revolving around this great game that we love. So it's great to see the World Cup become an American game.
That's it. And with the last week crystallized for us between the Knicks and U.S. Paraguay
and Arsenal.
And the Arsenal, sure. No one in the U.S., Canada, or Mexico is cheering for Infantino, or even thinking about him right now. No one in New York was celebrating Dolan. It was the Knicks. It's the game of soccer. It's Cabo Verde tying Spain. That's the joy, right? And so I think that for us, being thoughtful is important. Being mindful is important. Calling out FIFA for human rights abuses, that is important work that needs to be done. But at the same time, allowing yourself to feel joy for the teams winning, for the games being played. As someone said, that communal joy, that communal work is anti-fascist. That's what it is. And it's also fun, which we're also about around here. So our feeling this first week is we had a fun week and we're looking forward to more.
Bring it on.